Yes, it has to be with that sound. A Saturday. It's 11 o'clock. It's Saturday the 17th of July. And it's a beautiful sunny day. Mark Topping, good morning to you.
Good morning, John.
I'm absolutely fantastic. Couldn't be better, Mark. And got so excited when I saw the draw for the Olympics. Were you watching that? Were you listening to that, Mark?
It certainly was, John. That was just fascinating to watch. It took about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Watched it all. They started with the mixed doubles. And we got to the interesting part, the men's singles. We were all fascinated to see where Nat would be drawn. And I think everybody would suggest that Nat has got not a bad draw. He's put it this way, he's missed the top 8 seeds, the really
that's incredible
players.
Yeah, a little bit of lady luck on that. So he's avoided rank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And he's got number
10.
And so he's avoided number 9 as well. Number 10.
Yes. This guy is Wang Su Wei from Taiwan. He's 26 years old. He's a right-hander. And looks like a formidable opponent for that, but obviously not one of the absolute blockbuster names in the world of badminton.
So, Mark, he is the highest rank in the box. And then there's Nat. And who's the other player?
So, Nat is ranked number 56. So,
56.
The third player in the box is the Sri Lankan player, Naluka Karunaratne.
Oh my God, Mark Topping, I'm very impressed. There's a job for you in Badminton Europe.
Yes, I've been practicing that, John.
Oh yeah, 12 hours a day. Poor Nikki, she must be saying no more. So who plays who first? Do we know?
No, I couldn't find out that information.
Okay.
But I'm sure I'm very probably guess that Dan McGee and Matt do know that situation who plays for them. Their times already is probably coming out. But Naluka Karunaratne is currently ranked 117 in the world, John.
Wow.
And he's managed, he's been given a place, I think, through the tripartite Olympic, I think there were 3 places given to badminton. So these are to encourage
growth of the game.
Exactly, yeah. To spread the game of badminton around. So he's got in on that. So he actually hasn't qualified as of right through the official world ranking. There are 3 spots.
Well, I guess that's in the spirit of the Olympic ideal, to kind of grow sports to every country in the world, to try and spread it all continents. So what a great opportunity for all of the players. And I'm looking, Mark, we're here with Mark in the Badminton Talk studio now, which is great. We've both been jabbed, so we're able to record. So hopefully our listeners can hear our voices even more. And I'm looking here at on Facebook from Badminton Ireland saying day 6, and it's back to the gym along with strength and conditioning coach here at Fukori in Shikaza. I could be pronouncing that wrong, but I'm going to give it my best. I'm kind of learning all the time. Yeah, and I'm very impressed with the setup over there. It looks fantastic. All what's been laid on for Team Ireland. Of course, we have to remember the para badminton will be playing there as well. You know, it's going to be both excitement back to back there with badminton. So Mark, predictions before we start. Nat wins his box.
Well, yes, absolutely. Let's be good.
I'll be asking you here in another week or two. A week, is it?
Yeah. Let's be positive.
Yeah.
You would have to think that Nat has to start playing against the world number 117. Although this guy has played in Naluka Karunaratne, has played in 2 Olympics in 2012, 2016. He's 36 years old, so he's very experienced. But let's give that as a win for the young gun Nat.
Yeah.
And then it's a match-up with the world number 9. And Nat has nothing to lose, so let's we're all here supporting them. I certainly be watching that match.
Yeah, I think everybody will be everyone, not just beyond badminton. I think anyone that's interested in sports, because we're still in COVID, although we're coming out of it. It's great to see lots of sports now on the television. With the Euros completed, Wimbledon out of the way, poor Federer went down the quarters, was a little bit sad. But Djokovic, the old man, still at 34, he flew the flag, and now we've the Olympics. And just on that final bit on the Olympics, Mark, I realised there are 14 boxes back to that singles.
Yes.
And everybody plays 2 matches
in
their group, and therefore you have winners that come through, with the exceptions of the number 1 seed, Momoto. He will get a bye in that next round, if you like, or provided he wins his box, of course. And Chao Chen Cho, am I pronouncing that right? Chao Chi Chen, I think, number 2 seed. Provided he wins, he will get a bye, and then you have 12 boxes, and it gets very exciting even down at that stage. So, wow, Mark, you will be glued.
Yes, actually, just I did see a little bit of information for our listeners. I was looking at the TV channels that might be broadcasting badminton, so just to look out. It hasn't confirmed it, but RTE have the rights, so keep watching RTE.
Wow.
TV,
yeah.
I think there's a good chance they'll show that games. But the other possibility is apparently Eurosports. If you have the Eurosports channel, they also committed to showing badminton, so perhaps they might show Nat's game, but I'd say RTE would be.
Yeah, absolutely, and I see the RTE have been featuring some articles on that, and some of the newspapers, and of course the radio stations in all around the country, from Donegal to the South Kerry. It's all about badminton, so we're all getting behind our athletes there. So, Mark, I think it is time to throw this next piece of our jingle on, because we need to get back to serious stuff here. Umpiring, Mark. Do you remember? Yes, so here we have part 3 of Carol Farrell on the Badminton Talk Podcast, which of course is sponsored by Q Shuttle. And the Q Shuttle Silver is just I believe, Mark, just popped into the Irish market as well. Am I right in saying that?
We have stocks. This Q Silver landed just recently in Ireland, so we're hoping to make sales. Okay,
Q Silver, Q Gold, but for now it's Carol Farrell, and let's just continue where we left off, which was a couple of months ago. If anyone has missed it, it's all saved on our Badminton Talk podcast. Of course, you can search Badminton Talk on any of the platforms: Spotify, Google, Apple, Speakra, which is our own one. So, Mark, I think it's time for maybe doing the veil. Is it for me? Yeah? Okay. Okay, so listeners, enjoy this. We'll be back later to check in with you. On the Badminton Talk podcast, by the Q Shuttle, and we have Carol here, a world-class umpire. And Mark, fascinating stuff. My goodness, I've never learned so much about the world of umpiring. It's brilliant. What do you think?
I am enjoying it. Yeah, it's amazing. You just taking the time to listen and learn. It's fascinating to hear a world-class expert in the subject matter talking to us here on the Badminton Talk podcast. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, no, it's great. So, Mark, let's keep asking the questions. We want to pack as many of them in while we have Carol, because as soon as lockdown is out of the way, she's going to be, I guess, flying all over the place, including some Irish events too. So let's make hay while the sun shines, and it is shining today, lovely, on Thursday, the 22nd of April. So, Mark, over to you on the next question.
Carol, my question for you is, do you have any advice for young badminton players, or even people not even interested in playing badminton, but might be interested in giving umpiring a go? What should they do? How do they get into umpiring?
How do they get into it? I think I mentioned it earlier on. If somebody's interested, you contact either Badminton Ireland or your own branch, or if you're at a tournament where you see there's umpires, corner one of us and ask, We're always there to help. We're always there to help. That's how you get involved. Find somebody who'll give you the information to know where to go. Young people, I would say, what do it, go for it. The younger you start, the further you can go.
Yeah.
I was 35 when I started umpiring. So I was like 45 when I reached the top, and I had another 10 years after that umpiring at the very top level. If I started 5 years earlier, obviously you add 5 onto that. But the earlier you start, the easier it is, to give yourself the time and the space to get up to the very top. And having got there, the longer you can be there. I have a very good friend. He's not Irish, he's European. He did all of his exams roughly the same time as me. He definitely did his European exam with me. And he was a year or two behind me in the BWF exams. So he's been a BWF umpire since 2004.
Wow.
And he's only 42.
Oh, golly.
Wow.
That's
he's had great fun.
Yeah, he's had a long time at it at the top. Yeah, because he started early.
Yeah. And he's
so
a lot more Olympics.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was in London with me, and he's due to go to Tokyo. So he's going to get at least 2 Olympics out of it. That's what he'll get out of it by starting early and working his way up through. Obviously, you have to be able to. You have to be good enough. That's not as difficult to make the top with not as much pressure when you're slightly younger starting. You're not pushing yourself. If you have to take a year out because you've got a family or, you've got the time. And we do have, I'll have to say this, and I'll put a plug in for women umpires here if I might.
Go ahead, Carol. Anything else on this podcast? Go ahead.
We have 2 lady umpires in Europe at the moment.
Yep.
They're both in their, I suppose, mid to late 30s. They both have young children, and by young children I mean small children. One of them has a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old.
Wow, yeah.
And she's a BWF umpire. Both of them are BWF umpires. They started early enough. They got themselves up through, call it the early stages, into Europe, and then they were able to not give up, but step back a little.
Yes.
And pace themselves while their children, they had their children, the two both of them have 2 kids, and granted they have husbands who are very helpful.
Yeah.
But now they slip back into it again, and they're able to get to the top.
Yeah, this is the beauty, isn't it? Because they started early, so they can just,
They started early.
And have a great...
They were able to pace it out and decide, I can step back for a year or 2 here, just keep it going, keep my hand in, and then I'll step back in again, But it still applies to young, people who've maybe gone to college.
That's right.
And think, I'll wait till after college. Well, no, Joe, just get started. If you don't start, you'll never get there.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely brilliant advice, because I didn't realise, only from talking to you, how long it takes you. That you have to serve quite an apprenticeship to get anywhere near the top of the umpiring world. I mean, obviously you don't have to go to the very top if that you don't want to, but if that is your ambition, that structure is it is a long time to serve.
It is a long time, and I think it's right to say that's an important thing to say for people is, if you don't want to go to the very top, if you're in your 50s and you're coming to the end of your playing career, but you want to stay involved, well then, umpiring is a way to stay involved. And, you may not get abroad, or you may just get to some small tournaments, but you'll get yourself to the grade where you'll probably be able to do the Irish International. You'll be able to say, well, I umpired at the International, and I umpired at the Nationals, and I umpired at the branch events. You don't have to go all the way to the top. That's an important thing to say about it. You only have to go as far as you want to go. And it can take you anywhere. We have an umpire here in Ireland at the moment. He's not Irish. But he has just done his degree in his home country, and he got a job here in Ireland as an internship about a year ago. He umpired in his own country. When he arrived here, the first thing he did was contact me, because I knew him from abroad, and he contacted me and said, I'm here, and I'm going to be here for the next year or two, and I want to umpire. Can I come and umpire with you?
Brilliant.
So suddenly there he was, he had something to do in a strange country, he knew nobody, and he met people. Some of us he did actually know, because he would have met us abroad. But, so age is not a barrier going up or down, to be honest.
Wow.
That's an important thing to say about it.
Yeah.
And we'd love to see younger people in. We really would.
And just talking there about the 50s, Mark, would you ever like to get into the umpire's chair? It's an interesting.
Yeah, I haven't really considered it, John. I haven't really looked at it. I just love playing, as everybody knows. Yeah. I just miss the enthusiasm, and possibly if maybe you just can't predict the future. Maybe I won't be able to play at some stage, and yes, maybe in my 80s I'll come out.
Mark, come and do an umpire course to learn the laws. Then you right after that.
Yes, I think I should. Yeah, it would. After this session today, I think I don't know I don't think I've ever. Maybe when I was very young, I didn't read the rules once. But it's one of these things you probably. It's just what's coming across as practice, and reading and learning and continuous improvement and continuous refreshing. That's, I think, what I need to do. Yeah, if I did go into the umpiring world, that's what I'm taking away from today.
I'll have to say, reading the laws of badminton is a very interesting book, because every time you read it, you go, oh, now I can see how that law might be used. Do you remember that happened in that match last week? And you keep seeing things. It's an ever-evolving book.
Yeah.
But and then the BWF keep changing it anyway, which really doesn't help us.
No, it doesn't. No, I know.
No, well, it does, but he kept saying, oh, no, not another one to learn.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
And they could be changing the rules again. Just since you mentioned that, we're going on a little boat here down another little archery. The discussion of shortening the game. We had a lot of chat with a couple of players about this, and the jury's kind of out on it at the moment. Mark and myself were kind of we loved the idea of this. What do you call the shuttle in the BPL, Mark? And you put the pink shuttle, and you have the choice. You have
power play.
Yeah, I like that. We love this drama, and we were kind of saying if they brought Mark was actually was suggesting this thing, have a kind of type of power play, and maybe work something on the rule at 9-all that it's by 2 all the time or something like that till so it can extend itself. But are you in favour of it, or would you like just to leave it as it is? As you say, it's. The 20.
From an umpiring point of view, it doesn't make any difference to me. I've umpired under the old system.
Yeah.
I've umpired in the trial that we did before, back in 2010, I think.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, I've umpired that system. I've obviously umpired this one. Whatever I'm given to umpire, I'll just have to learn it. I won't have any choice. Whether or not I think it's good or bad, I can't really answer. That's up to the players. To me, it's up to the players to make the decision which system they feel is best for them to give them best matches.
And do you think the players more than the fans, Carol? Do it's like you have spectators and you have the players, and the idea of the shorter score, you might create more drama earlier on because you get to the finishing line quicker, so there's a little more excitement in the game, so that maybe from a spectator you might be going, this is more, there's more, you're not waiting till you get to 8-all and the excitement builds up, although others will say that's part of enjoying getting to the 8-all. You wouldn't have, you've been quite apolitical about this, which is good, Carol. You're not siding. It's a real umpire's ingredient.
Umpiring. A bit of a good umpire, John.
Yeah, I think
being fair to everybody.
Very fair. We definitely have a real umpire here.
I mean, the most important thing is the game is for the players.
Yeah.
The game is for the players. So whatever the players feel is right for them, I'll work with it. you'll see both sides. Some players, I'd have to say, if we were to break it down, the Asians play very much a bang, 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 quick game.
Yeah.
So maybe the shorter game would suit them because they'll get to the end quicker. The European style is more of a play it out style.
Yeah.
So maybe the longer game would suit them better because it gives them more time to warm up, get going, and then win their points. When it comes to spectators, you can look at it. I mean, we talked about it. Obviously, we've all talked about this before, and we've talked about that one before. And like from a spectator's point of view, you could have a game over, not 11-2, 11-4, 11-4.
Yeah,
bang, it's gone.
Yeah.
Where's the excitement?
Mm-hmm.
You can. That might be the way the spectators want it. They want the games that are going to go quickly, that are of no interest, if that's the way to put it. They want them out of the way so we get to the closer matches further on in the tournament. There's so many pros and cons, and it'll be discussed at the AGM till everybody's falling asleep in their chairs. Hopefully we'll see they come up with an answer again.
Just listening to you, Carol, there, you really, really have... I was just thinking what you were saying. I think, based on what you're saying, is that a lot of the players who would probably be classified as those who just make a first and second round, which is fantastic, versus the players that make quarters, semis and that. I think those that are more in the first, second rounds will want the longer score because they want to be out on the court longer, because if it's a shorter score, the chances are they won't be out there as long. Whereas those that are in the quarter, semis, finals, I just thought about it the way you've said it, they'll probably think, well, maybe the shorter is slightly okay because we want to get maybe the earlier ones out because we're in the tournament longer. So maybe the compromise is a Carol's umpire compromise. It's a score in the middle between 11 and 21. So it's 15. If badminton were a federation,
we go back to the old scoring system.
Without old scoring, without the having to control the serve, though. That's the to win.
Oh, yeah.
So there we go. Carol has now sorted it out.
Yeah, exactly. They talk about it. They'll talk about it for weeks on end, and we'll find out eventually what will happen. We just have to wait and see.
Yeah,
there's no way you can. I've been at those AGMs. I've sat there. I've been listened to the points put forward and that, the big BWF AGMs, and it goes on for hours.
Yeah,
and then every side puts their point, and then a vote has to be held on it. So. We'll just have to wait and see.
Have to wait. The process has to be followed and adhered to. So there, you've heard it there on the Badminton Talk podcast. Now, I think these are quick-firing questions, Mark. We'll attempt a few quick ones, but doesn't matter, anything can happen. So, first quick one. Your most embarrassing moment at umpiring, Carol, or maybe if you know somebody else who's most embarrassing. Either, whichever way you want to answer that.
Oh, well, I think it's probably fair to say that every umpire has had an embarrassing moment at some point or other. You just hope that nobody else saw it. And you try to make it look like it was meant to go like that, in the hope that nobody else notices it.
But there's lots of cameras around today, so it's hard not to be,
Well, you carry it off and you do it right.
Okay.
But you can be 100% sure, no matter what you do wrong, that guaranteed every other umpire in the hall has seen it anyway, because the players may not see it, the spectators won't see it, but I guarantee every umpire will see what you did wrong and proceed to inform you about it afterwards. My most embarrassing moment has to go back. It was funny, but it was embarrassing, and has to go back. I don't even think I was Badminton Europe at the time.
Right.
I might have been, but it was the Irish International mixed doubles finals in Lisburn, and it was a Dutch pair versus an English pair. I knew both sides quite well, and I knew them all, so I did everything right, got up in the chair, and I started my opening announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, on my right, A and B, England, and on my left, C and D, the Netherlands. A to serve to, and I obviously turned to look at the receiver to realise that the English were on my left, the Dutch were on my right, and the person I thought was serving was actually receiving.
Oh, talk about having everything upside down, inside out for the start.
I just stopped dead. I had about 1 second to think, you're not going to redo that opening announcement. And I just said, love all play. And we got on with the match and everything was fine. But the whole thing was backwards. And the funniest part of it was, a week later, I was in England, probably Milton Keynes, for the ICCs. Yeah. And I walked into the hall, and up comes an English umpire who was a very, very good friend of Cormac Breslin's. Yeah. Right? He walks up to me and he hands me 2 little stickers, one with L, one with R, and said, now put that one on that hand and that one on that. And I said, and I will kill Cormac when I go home.
Oh, word got round quickly.
Oh, that was milk. That was milked.
Yeah, everybody in England knew about it as well.
They probably remember
that was my most embarrassing. Don't do that again.
Oh, Carol, that's great. Thank you for sharing that on the Badminton Talk podcast. Now, this is something which I just thought, from a human nature condition, you can be a long time in the chair, I suppose longer time in the old days. But how do you manage to go for a toilet break if it goes the full length? Like we've seen Victor Ackles in the All England, one of the sets went 29-30. Now, can you imagine you have 3 of them in a row? And it could happen, mathematically, it could happen. And then you're there at 11-all and you haven't, for some reason, had a toilet break, and it's a normal thing to do. What's the guidance to umpires on that? Or I'm sure that's in the book.
We don't generally take toilet breaks. The guidance you give every umpire at every match in the very beginning, especially in those big ones, is the last thing you do before you go out on court is go to the toilet. Yeah. Even if you don't think you need to, you go to the toilet, because you have no idea. You could be out there for 30 minutes. You could be out there for 2 hours.
Wow.
And that's it, and I mean, you really want to be, it has to be a really bad case. Yeah, and I don't think that I've ever seen anybody get out of the chair.
I've never have, and tennis is another sport that I also follow, like us all in sporting. We look at lots of sports, and I've often seen, some of those, very famous umpires, and they would be the Australian Open final or something. These can go on for hours, and they'd just be sitting in the chair, and I often just thought, how do they manage that? Like, you certainly wouldn't want to be drinking much coffee before you're going on the chair. That's for sure. Let's call a fact. You take a coffee, you need to have a toilet break within 45 minutes, within reason. If it's
that's why we tell umpires, always go to the toilet before you go out in the match, because we do drink copious amounts of coffee anyway to keep ourselves going. Yeah. But we do. No, I don't know that I've ever, and I'm probably somebody would be able to say, they remember it happening, but no, we don't. We just, the last thing you do, and then the first thing you do when you come off the court is run from the toilet. So the most important thing to remember when you get to a tournament, the first thing you do is you check where the toilets are. Yeah. Just so that if you do need to find them, you know where they are.
Okay. That is wonderful advice there, Carol, to all players and umpires too. Now,
players too, please.
Yeah, I was going to say they need to know where that is and prepare for that too. Now, this is a really interesting question. What's the secret to keeping it all together in a very challenging situation? And umpires seem to have an incredible calmness. It's rare you would really see an umpire, and I don't know, Mark, can you recall an umpire letting the bees out of the jar, in to use the expression, in a difficult situation, in all of your illustrious so far playing career, which is still to continue for another 25 years, since you've mentioned the age of 80, or is that longer? Maybe it's longer.
No, it's 25 years, yeah.
Okay, 25.
We'll keep going for 25.
Yeah, have you ever seen it?
I really think...
Like in any of the countries?
Certainly no anger from umpires. I've seen umpires make the occasional, and it is very occasional, very rare, a mistake, and maybe get flustered occasionally, but I think it's more the players they're tired, they're competitive, they want to win, and I think the players can be well, maybe it's too harsh, but it almost can, and again, it's, I think, very rare. It can be put the pressure on the umpire. I think glare at the umpires if things aren't going their way. That's my experience. But umpires generally seem to be very calm in the chair.
Yeah.
I think that comes to what I was saying earlier on. How do we get to the level we're at? Experience, practice. We learn how to handle the situations. Yeah, it's very fair to say I've been glared at by the best in the business in my time.
Yeah.
But,
it goes.
Yeah, players are out to win, and you can't blame them for that. You have to do that. But, how do you keep calm and keep everything together? It's practice, and I actually saw it, a comment made by a GAA referee. I think it was either GAA or a soccer referee a couple of years ago here in Ireland, when he was asked about, how do you manage, 2 teams of 15 players and they all get annoyed, and you're trying to make decisions and they're all shouting. And his comment was very good. He said, you have to have confidence in yourself.
Right.
Not be cocky or oversure, because that's the first thing the player will hit you with. You have to be confident in yourself that you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you're happy with making your decisions the way you're making them. Then you can sit there calmly and stay in control of challenging games. Mm-hmm. And stay away. But you don't need 100% concentration in the match. You need 200% concentration all the time, because you're watching everything. You're watching 4 players, you're watching line judges, you're watching spectators, you're watching your service judge, you're watching the shuttle. You're watching everything happening. So you have to be able to keep your concentration.
And you're also watching the parents at the back.
Oh yeah, well. You're watching where they are too. Yeah,
who are trying to encourage their player, leave it go, don't touch it. As you're often, particularly yes, in Ireland, but I know having the kids gone over to England, and we've been there for quite a few years. Like, they're very at the very start. Sometimes you get used to tournaments in your own country where you're allowed to be at the back of the courts, and you're allowed to be, which there's a plus to that too. There's but they would announce straight on the PA system, parents, there's no involvement in the game, and in fact, some of them you can't coach once the game is started. Maybe after the full set, maybe there's slightly at the juvenile level. So they very much tell the parents and the fans and what they can and cannot do. So because I can imagine that's something else an umpire has to assess if someone's is distracting the players or the opponent of your son or daughter. That's a big factor. So it's Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hour rule, where it takes 10,000 hours to master your sport. And it's like every job, isn't it? You come more confident if you lecturing. I remember lecturing the first time. The first year was okay. The second, it gets better. You get more confident all the time. And then finally, you kind of reach your level of comfort.
That's it.
And you can
it's being confident and comfortable in your ability to do the job you're doing. Yeah. And you only get that with practice.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
You only get that with practice. Practice and watching other people and learning from other people.
Yeah, practice.
How they do it, whether it's right or wrong,
Yeah, great.
Brilliant. Will I ask the next question, John?
Oh, I think, Mark, you want to jump in and ask that one. Go ahead, Mark. You might as well.
Thank you, John. Yeah. Who is your favourite male and female player in world badminton at the moment, Carol? Even in the
who's my favourite one? Well, I got on with all players. I never had any issues with any of them. I think,
Carol,
in the male...
Sorry, Carol, it could be Mark Topping. You could answer that if Mark is in your list. That's just...
Okay,
he's modest enough, but just keep him in your answer. Sorry, just in case...
you can include me.
I'll include you here.
I've obviously Carol's favourite player, obviously.
Okay, right.
Take me out.
Exactly. I remember many matches with you. No, I mean, I think
did you prefer Bruce? Sorry, just then Mark, or would have been?
Well, they were an interesting doubles pair. Let's put it like that.
Okay. Again, look, Carol's answer so good, isn't it? None, I like.
I'm not going to hack myself.
Sorry,
that's the way to put it. No, I think male players, and I say two of the male players that I really enjoyed umpiring over the years, and they were, lovely people to have. Would have been Lee Sean Wei. He's a lovely person to have on the court with you. He's a fantastic player, obviously, but as a person on the court, he works with you as an umpire, and that's an important thing as well.
Respectable.
He's really good, and I think one of the players that most, maybe some of the, when I say older umpires, those of us that have been there for a while, we would have to say Kenneth Jonassen of Denmark was a fantastic person to have on the court as well as a men's singles player. He was the same. He got out there to play badminton, and you were there to help him, and
right.
That was the way he looked at it. And he was always somebody we appreciated when we had to umpire him, because you knew you were going to go out there with no issues, just do the game, and that was the end of it.
Yeah.
Female players, there's a lot of different ones. I think my favourite one would have to be the Thai girl, Ratchanok in Hanum.
Ratchanok, okay.
Ratchanok, she's such a lovely person. She's so polite, she's so nice, just works with you. Yeah. I was lucky enough to service judge her match in Taipei when she won the World Junior Championship for the third time.
Wow.
And that was a record. Nobody had ever won it like that. And I was there on the court with her that day when she won that match. And, but she's such a lovely, lovely person.
Yeah.
She's just so nice, And there's a few of the other singles, Akane, the little Japanese lady girl, she just comes on the court and she plays badminton and then she leaves the court and that's it.
From the kind of slightly older generation, any favourite past Irish player that comes to mind? Like, I mean, I'm just. Yeah, we could put him in that category. We've maybe been.
If I go back into Irish badminton when I first started, I would have had Mark and Bruce, Donny, Chippy, all that gang, and they were great people to umpire. They really were, because they were friendly. They were. Respectful, that's the way to put it, of the job we were doing. And they were great. All of them were great loads of players to work with. I mean, there are obviously younger ones there now who are, in the same vein as well.
Yes, I know.
But if we want to go back into the older ones, that group together, they were great to work with.
Brilliant.
Great to go out on the court and work with.
Well, there you go, Mark.
And to be fair, they still are.
Yeah.
For those of them that are, when we go out, you still go out on the court and they still call us by our names, and that's lovely. That's part of it, because we are, no matter what way. We often say as an umpire, you are the head of a company. Some days your company you only employ two people, the two players.
Yes.
Other times you could employ 4 players, service judge, 10 line judges, court moppers. You could have 15 people. Some days you employ 2 people, some days you employ up to 15. And, our job as the employer is to get up there and make sure our employees are happy with their day's work.
Yeah. That's a great way of thinking about the setup, as you're going your company, the court being your company, and you're there and you've all these employees, and you could have 1 or 2. But that's great.
You could have 1 or 2 that are having bad days. Yeah, we do know that. And your job is to sit there and hope to God that you can keep them calm and keep them happy and send them home.
Yeah. Well, we can all have a bad day. That's okay.
Everybody has bad days, even the umpires.
Everyone has a bad day, even the umpires. So we're here with Carol. We're having a fascinating Badminton Talk podcast. with a world-class umpire here on the Badminton Talk podcast, brought to you by... And it's great. We have another... I'm just looking at the clock here. We're always looking at the clock, but it's great. We're having so much time here with Carol today, the 22nd of April. We have about another 7 minutes on this. So another quick-firing question, Carol, to ask you. Well, maybe, the first one is favourite country to umpire in?
In Europe, I think my favourite country, well, besides umpiring here at home, which is always good fun because, everybody, the players, all the organisers, everything, that's always nice to umpire here at home. In Europe, I think probably my favourite country to umpire in would be Denmark. They're a great crowd up there. They're a great crowd of organisers. They're a great tournament. The umpires are good friends of mine, and we always have a good time. France is another nice place as well, I have to say. Out in Asia, probably I've enjoyed. There's only one country in Asia that any umpire, once they start into the international circuit, and you get to Badminton Europe, and then you suddenly realise where you can go. Everybody's aim is just, I want to go and umpire in Jakarta, in Indonesia. I want to umpire in Istora, the arena there. That is every umpire's
That's the Mecca.
dream.
That's the Mecca.
How do you explain to someone, I umpired in Jakarta before the last renovation in the hall. So how do you explain to someone what it's like to sit in a hall in an umpire's chair, or even a spectator, or not spectator, a player? There's 15,000 people in that stadium, and they're all cheering at the same time, at the same level, and it's not that they're cheering for this match or that match, or they're just cheering non-stop.
Fans of...
There's no, it doesn't go up when there's a rally or down. It just keeps going from the time it starts to the time it goes home.
Oh, there we have to leave it after. My goodness, what amazing insight from Carol Farrell on some wonderful stories, Mark Topping. What about that, Mark? Wasn't that fascinating?
That was brilliant. I've never been to Indonesia. I've never played a tournament in Indonesia, but I have heard a lot of people talk about it. It's just a unique badminton experience, one that I missed.
Yeah, well, Mark, you're going to have one more week to reflect on it, because we have Carol Farrell back next week for our final part, for part 4. So all those umpires, all those badminton fans and followers that have been listening to us on the Badminton Talk podcast by the by the Q Shuttle, Silver and Gold, you'll be able to hear more next week. Mark, as we come into another weekend, have you anything planned for the weekend?
Well, the big thing this weekend, John, as you well know, is the invitational singles tournament we're running in the Outdoor Badminton.
Oh, yes.
Sunday. We've invited 16 super enthusiastic singles players, and we're going to have a great time. Sponsored by the Q Gold and Q Silver.
Well done, Mark. That was really good timing on that. Yeah, I'm excited. I see they didn't seed me 1, Mark.
What?
They put me into box 4.
Are you seeded number 4?
No, I understand the rules. If you win your box, then you go forward to box 1. If you come second, you go forward to box 2. But and so on. But I have to say, Mark, the interest was phenomenal. So with just a big shout out to anybody that wanted to play in the tournament, Mark, that couldn't, we have their names noted, and they can email Mark at mymobilebadmintonshop.ie or John at mymobilebadmintonshop.ie if they want to perhaps put their name, because we do plan to run more. Is that correct, Mark?
Absolutely, John. If it's a big success on Sunday, possibly we'll even expand the numbers. Maybe we'll go up to 24, John. What do you think? Maybe even 32. But let's get Sunday out of the way, and let's see what the feedback is from the players, and whether they want to do any more of these types of tournaments. It's a round robin tournament, so you're guaranteed matches.
Absolutely. Well, look, we will chat with the guys in Leinster, with Derek, all the team as well. and talk about August once we get, of course, this Sunday out of the way. But I'm excited about that, Mark, and yes, we're just about out of time, Mark, so listen, you better start getting your sleep in. 10 seconds, Mark. Ready for the tournament on Sunday? Okay, well, we reveal all next week on the Badminton Talk Podcast, sponsored by the Q Shuttle. See you, Mark.